to right field, way up there, and way out of here!
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of the Phixated Podcast. I am your host, Mike Azzy, and I'm joined by a guy who was a little shocked when I got on the screen tonight. Regzy Boo, we're back.
We are. Well, we're back to almost the original.
That's right.
The original room. This 4 years later. It's wild to think that we've been doing this as long as we were in college.
Yep, didn't think about it that way.
That makes me feel very old and very sad
20
at the
years
same
later.
time. But not sad that we've been doing it for this long. Just
No.
God, if I could click my fingers and go back there.
Imagine if we would have, okay, we've talked about this off air, but imagine if like we could snap our fingers, go back 20 years to college and start this knowing what we know now.
Yes.
We could have been the Barstool guys.
We could have. That's very true. Yeah. That would have been the time. That would have been the time to do it for sure.
To start it all up. Don't know what it would have looked like or sounded like, but could have
it
been.
would have been terrible. But we could have figured. Just think of, we'd probably be doing this sitting next to each other in some studio. And
well, they had the E-Town studio. It was available to students.
There you go. I just mean like by now.
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine? I'm not sure who was listening. Again, I wasn't listening to podcasts very many back then. I wonder who would have been listening to podcasts about 2008 obviously was a very good year. It would have been like in the late 2010s where we might have seen a dip in listenership as we're talking about the Phillies losing 100+ games.
Yeah, and the best draft pick available was Mickey Moniak.
Yes.
Why not Mick?
Yeah.
Why not Mick? Why not? But it's funny you said 4 years later that we're here, and I did want to. I wanted to ask this because if you're watching on YouTube, this is not where I typically sit for our show. I usually sit in the basement. If you're a regular listener, watcher, viewer, whatever, you usually see over my shoulder all of my Philly stuff hanging, all the memorabilia. My wife took our table that I use down there to work, and we only have one folding table, which was a topic of conversation before we got on the show.
I know what I'm getting you. I know what I'm getting you for Christmas now.
So I'm doing it from my office, and I feel a little weird. Like there's certain rituals, right, that you get used to doing over the course of time. And for me with this, it's going downstairs to record this podcast. So it made me laugh like tonight when I walked downstairs to take Maverick out. I was like, yep, gonna have to take the stuff upstairs and record from up there. It's so funny how our brains get locked into doing the same thing over and over again until we don't do the thing.
Yeah. That's what made it very weird, like the last episode when I was sitting on a balcony in Myrtle Beach with my AirPods on and we were recording the podcast. I was thinking when I like sat down and turned the light on and got the stuff clicked up again, I was like, why? It feels like it's been forever since I've recorded from here. And it, like you said, it was very weird. It was very like, oh my gosh, it feels like it's been a while since it.
Well, when you think about it, it kind of has,
Yeah.
Because we missed almost a whole month due to our just the craziness of our schedules. We both recorded like an individual one,
Yeah.
and then like you said, the last one we did, you were away, so you weren't operating from your spot. It's funny because typically like I do it in the basement when I'm here, but how many episodes have we done when I'm on the road in a hotel? We've done a ton of them.
Mm-hmm.
But when I think about it, in this house, my brain only knows one place to record, and it just makes me laugh how like our minds work. Like I can rewind to high school, and you know, like one of my first high school games or Legion games, I got a huge hit at some point, and I went home and I was like, well, I gotta do everything the same that I did yesterday. Like I gotta have 4 scoops of ice cream tonight and eat my turkey sandwich after school instead of during lunch. You know, all of the things that our brains do to make us think that if we don't do it this way, it's all gonna go wrong.
Yeah.
But we're like already 6 minutes into this and nothing has gone wrong yet. So good.
It's also very funny that like I don't own, like Angela has a laptop only because it works for her. Like she, she'll take it around the house, do whatever. But I switched to this this monster PC and setup. Like I don't have a laptop or even like an iPad. Like, so it was weird, not weird, because obviously technology has become that, with AirPods and your phone and all that stuff, like recording on it has gotten so much better that besides the camera part, you can do most things you need to do this, from wherever with a set of headphones and your phone. But it was just very weird when I went to record with you the other time and we were away. I was like, man, like I just, it like clicked. I was like, I don't even have a laptop. And like, that's all I worked off of or used for however long, right? 15 plus years, I think. It was just a laptop, various versions of a very old Dell or Apple. It was just very funny to like go to use it and be like, oh yeah, that's not how I operate anymore. It also goes to show you how much of like a homebody I am, that I've decided that this is my life. And Azzy, of course, has seen the setup that I have, and I think I've put a picture of it out there once or twice, but it's this monstrous, thing, which I love. I'm very happy with it, but it's just really funny how it was very different when the one time I went to need it. I was like, well, that's not an option anymore. The phone it is.
One last thing on all this, because we got stuff to talk about tonight in sports world. It's funny though, because we mentioned, what if we did this in college, right? Or what would that have looked like, or what would it look like now? And I think back to, you just mentioned all this technology, and I often talk about this when I present, but like, man, how different technology is. Because when we were in college, we went to college and we had like the flip phones.
Yeah.
Like that's what we had. We could play Snake, and it took us a half an hour to text "What's up" to somebody because you had to hit the button.
I mean, we were quick with those.
times.
We were quick at those.
We were. And then maybe by the end of like senior year, the BlackBerry was out. Right?
Yeah, well,
and
I had one of those like flip up keyboard phones.
I had a Razor.
Yeah, I had one that like flipped up and had like, but that, what was it? Sidekicks they were called. Remember those that had like the full keyboard that you could flip up and down? Yeah. Yeah. I think iPhones had just started coming around.
They did. Yeah.
What was that, like 2007? I think was the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a Razor.
Yeah.
Like in our senior year, and then out of college, I got a BlackBerry.
Yeah.
Just like, it's just crazy how different everything is.
Remember how cool the first video iPod was? When you're just like, oh my God, I can put like TV shows on here, like music videos. Yeah. When those used to be a thing. Yeah. And it was literally this big. Yep. I can't even make the box like small enough to show what it actually was.
The highest tech thing we had in college was Stein's video power hours.
He was very proud of them, as he should have been.
He was very good at making them.
He was. Shockingly, Matt Stein was a savant at making power hours. Who'd have thought?
He was very, very good at it.
Needed my help to pass classes, but video power hours, he's your guy.
He was the guy. He was the guy. Unbelievable. Well, man, what a kickoff.
I think this is half of what people come for. So I love these 10 minutes.
It's one of my favorite parts of the week. And we appreciate you hanging with us through it. We do have a lot to talk about tonight. It is the annual Azzy's 53-man prediction show, which will lead us into a lot of conversations about the roster and the way camp is going in general. And then we will jump into the Phillies, who, as of this moment at 9:30 on Thursday, August 21st, hold a 7-game lead in the NL East over the New York Mets. After the Mets just lost 2 of 3 from the Washington Nationals, who come into Philly for the weekend. So lots to talk about tonight. We're going to dive in with the Birds and jump right into the 53-man. And we'll, like I said, we'll gauge conversation off of this because there's a lot of news, a lot of stuff, a lot of things to talk about with the football team. So without further ado, man, let's just jump in. I'll start with the specialist. Feels easy, right? Feels like a couple of no doubters right out the gate. Jake Elliott, who's quickly becoming the greatest kicker in Eagles history. He will be the kicker. Braden Mann, who's done a great job since coming on board, will be the punter. And Charlie Hughlett will be the long snapper for the Birds. It'll be the first year that, we've had like a different long snapper.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a little odd. But things were starting to get a little shaky in that.
They were. Braden Mann was making up for some not great snaps. He
so
whatever he was as a punter, he might have been that much better as a holder.
Yeah.
And then of course, I mean, we've talked about it, but Jake had a little bit of a shaky year, but perfect in the Super Bowl. And that's all that matters.
In the NFC Championship game, or I'm sorry, NFC divisional game and I mean the postseason, he was phenomenal.
Yep.
He was absolutely phenomenal. All right, quarterbacks. I've seen a couple of places where people only have them with taking 2 on board. I think they're going to take 3. And I believe it'll be Hurts, McKee, and McCord. Tomorrow night is sort of it's going to be the decisive game for, McCord and Thompson Robinson.
Yeah.
Or Robinson, I can't remember which
Thompson
way it goes.
Robinson, you got it right.
Thompson Robinson, DTR. But I just think McCord's looked better. Everything I've read, he's been better. The only thing that DTR has is the experience, but I think McCord, you take the kid with the pick to be on the roster.
Yeah.
I feel like. So tomorrow, 7:30, they play. It's sort of like the last stand for a lot of these guys. But I think McCord's probably got the head up. I don't know if there's much else to say here.
I agree.
We already know we got in Tanner McKee. So
the Mormon missile.
And one's pretty good. So
yes,
he's all right.
At least we think so.
At least we think so. Yeah, certain people, and they'd rather have that jabroni in LA, but whatever. All right. Running back. Again, I don't think many surprises here. I've seen another name other than the third on my list, but I do think Saquon and then Shipley, and I do think AJ Dillon makes the team. I don't think anybody else has really stood out that much at the running back position.
Yeah.
To not. I feel like Dillon's done enough in the time I've watched him play. He's healthy, he's quick, he's catching the ball in the backfield. I think Shipley's going to end up getting the bulk of the Gainwell carries anyway. So Dillon's more of an insurance policy in my eyes. I think that's pretty straightforward as well.
Yeah, I think the only thing I've seen with that is some people are leaving Dillon off to get somebody else in another position group. But I think if you're going to take 3 running backs, I don't think Dillon is. I think Dillon has to be the choice.
Yeah, and that's what I struggled a little bit with. But I think the only other place where I could have seen them add another guy would have been the receiver position. And now with Johnny Wilson getting hurt, I think it's only 6. I don't know if there is a 7th guy. I think they could have gone with 7 had he not gotten hurt. But all right, I did take Ben Van Sumeren and put him on the roster at the fullback. I went back and forth about this a lot, but I ended up 1 player short. And I do think from a special teams perspective, he gives you something. In an emergency, he can play linebacker. And, I just think it's a weird position because I don't believe they used it a lot last year. Well, he got hurt, so I guess that's a reason why. But from what I've read, they haven't even used it much this summer. So I don't know. I kind of put him on because I feel like they put a lot of effort into making this a thing. and I don't know why they would do that if he wasn't going to be on the roster. So I have him there. That could be that might end up being wrong.
No, I think the special team stuff puts him on there.
Okay.
I think we saw towards the end of the year how they started like putting Owen Burks in special teams and stuff like that. Like guys who were playing snaps like as in the game, like, and not insignificant amounts. Like, so I think they saw the value of having guys like that in for special teams reasons and how important it was. Their special teams like wasn't fantastic, really until the end when they did start putting guys like that out there. And so I think he's got enough value there.
Yeah, I do think you're going to see guys like Shipley on special teams. I think Van Sumeron's on special teams. You'll probably see like an Anais Smith on special teams and Kyle Granson. Like there are definitely names on here, and I've added a couple of others as well. The roster's just so incredibly loaded that it's hard to like, somebody's got to play special teams, right?
Yeah.
So, all right, let's go to tight end. I'm going to skip wide receiver because I think that's a bigger conversation with what's going on there. Obviously, Goddard, Calcaterra are locks, and then I do think Kyle Granson makes the team. I wasn't sure who it was going to be, but after the trade that occurred this week, Kylan Granson feels like the only other option. I don't think EJ Jenkins has done enough this summer. I think he's going to end up on the practice squad, but after the trade for John Mechie, that seemed like the only real possibility. And I mean, Granson's been fine. He hasn't lit the world on fire or anything, but I guess no third tight end really is.
Yeah. No arguments.
All right, let's talk wide receiver and let's spend some time here because I think that there's conversation that has to be had. 1 and 2 are without question. AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, John Dotson, here by default, right? John Mechie, who they just traded for last week, and then I think we're going to see Anais Smith and then the undrafted Darius Cooper, who has been probably the best story from camp. Went to Tarleton State, which everybody knows, football powerhouse.
Of course,
Tarleton State, and he sounds like a Q in this way. And again, Toledo's not Tarleton State. Tarleton State is not Toledo. But he's a kid who it sounds like he could have transferred to a lot of power 5 schools and decided to stay. He was a 0-star recruit as a quarterback, transitioned to the receiver position. He has gotten snaps with the ones. This summer, Jalen throws him the football, which is unfreaking believable because Jalen throws nobody the football.
Yeah.
A fun story and someone to probably keep your eye on as the season goes along, because before the argument could have been had that, he was going to be left off the roster, but unfortunate news with Johnny Wilson going down for knee and ankle surgery in the next week, and he'll be out for the year. Seems like he's locked. Now, Regz, I've read and heard that there were a lot of writers who thought that Darius Cooper was on no matter what, and it was really like, is Anais Smith going to make the team? There's a whole lot of interesting conversations to be had here. The Mechie trade to me was wild because they kind of the room was going to be full. Someone was going to have to go, but now it worked out. I guess unfortunate, right? But worked out that they don't have to make a move. I don't know if they were going to try and trade Dotson for like another expiring contract, and Mechie he's unrestricted, or he's restricted next year, so like they technically have him through next year. But there's a lot of interesting here. Is there, outside of like anything you want to add for the Cooper, Mechie, Dotson, Smith piece here? Because I think the first two we talk enough about, but what about those other 4? Anybody else? Did I miss something?
I don't think you missed anything. I think Cooper makes it over Smith if Johnny Wilson is still here. He's been arguably the standout player, not of the huge names, of truly guys that like needed to make an impact to like be on the team, he's like been number one of how many plays he's making, how much he's being talked about, his like playing time and practices and with who he's practicing with and all those things. He's been the guy. So I truly think if Johnny Wilson is still healthy, that Smith doesn't make the roster and Cooper does. I think he played that well. And despite, Smith has maybe some punt return ability or things like that, and he's obviously been much better this summer than he was last summer. I just think Cooper outplayed him, just flat out. So this is what it is. Smith makes the team with Wilson being gone, obviously, but I think Cooper is above Smith easily, and I would argue maybe above Mechie at this point with how well he's played. And like you said, if Jalen's willing to throw him the ball, that's a big deal. And it also seems like he's been willing to throw Jahan Dotson the ball, which I think we saw in the Super Bowl. They said they worked out together over the summer. Like Dotson thought that was really important to do that and build that relationship up so that he got the trust of Jalen, which he seems to have now. And I think, by all accounts, Cooper like talks to Jalen afterwards, and Jalen's willing to give him time and talk through things and all this stuff. So I would, given Mechie just got here, right? Literally a week ago, I would think Cooper is in a better spot than him at the moment. We'll see how it plays out in terms of playing time, but I think, Cooper is the 4 on this team right now.
Yeah, for me, Mechie, I think is going to have to step in and to be like the dirty work guy.
Yes, I agree there. Yes,
that Johnny Wilson was, and I don't think he has a problem doing that. I think Anais Smith's role is going to be more special teams returner. He's probably going to end up being a gunner.
Yeah.
But this is one of their deeper wide receiver rooms. I think Mechie, like he's a little bit of a demon if he's healthy.
Yeah.
And certainly there's a lot of potential there if Jahan Dotson takes the next step from what we saw in the Super Bowl. There's a lot of potential there. And, look, I don't want to have these like huge expectations for Darius Cooper because it's not fair for that kid.
Sure.
However, what you said is true. He, in terms of where they came in to like this camp in terms of expectations, he is absolutely the shining star.
Yeah.
Right. You can't put him in the same bucket as like a Devontae Smith.
No, right. Yeah. That's not the guys
right?
we're talking about. Yeah.
No, but we're talking about a guy who came in with this expectation, like this much, and what he's turned into. It's been the darling story of camp. And you have one every year, but I don't know that we have one to this extent. So definitely something to watch and keep an eye on as the season starts. We'll be looking for him. Hopefully he gets to change his number because 43 is
it's a tough wide receiver number. Yeah.
All right. Offensive line. We obviously the top 5 are the top 5. I still think Landon Dickerson's going to find a way to be ready for that Cowboy game. I just can't imagine him sitting it out because he's a psychopath. Yeah. Unless there's a real scenario in which it could immediately get worse.
Yes.
But this guy just plays through everything. He is an absolute nut job. But we love him for it. So Mailata, Dickerson, Juergen, Steen, Lane. That was a lock going into. This is a room though that's really interesting to me, Regz. Like I really had a hard time here. I struggled quite a bit. And so because listen to the names who are here. They brought Kendall Lamb in. He's a veteran, right? They traded for Kenyon Green. They have Miles Hinton, who they drafted, right? They have Drew Kendall, who they drafted, Trevor Keegan, who they've drafted and developed, Brett Toth, who they brought back, Matt Pryor, who they brought back, Cameron Williams, who they drafted, Darian Kennard, who they've drafted and developed. There's a lot here And I do think this is a place where they keep 10. Maybe they keep 11. There might be a world where they keep 11. I only have them keeping 10. And I might go back on this, Regs. I might go back on this. I'm going to kick myself is what I should say. Here's who I have them keeping. I have them keeping Brett Toth. I feel like that's a lock. It seems like he's always in the conversation. When the injury to Dickerson happened, he was the first man up.
Yeah. So
that feels like a lock. I think they're keeping Matt Pryor because he's a guy who he's got a lot of flexibility. He can play every position basically along the line. Easy to sneak him in. He's had starts at guard, starts at tackle. A lot of experience. So I feel like those two, they're locks because of their ability to play multiple positions along the line. Here's where I struggled. I did keep Drew Kendall, even though he only plays one position, and that's center. But they're gonna need that.
Yeah.
If Dickerson is in fact hurt, they're gonna need somebody who could snap the freaking ball.
Yeah. Because I think who is named Pryor, right, is not good at it. Or Toth is not good at it. Yeah, right.
So I feel like they got to keep him. And here's where it gets fuzzy. They traded for Kenyon Green. He hasn't been healthy at all. Yeah. And when he's been on the field, he stinks. So I can't put him on the roster. Kendall Lamb has been really bad. This is a veteran they brought in, and he just hasn't been good. He's the guy who, like, when they first signed him, I was sending you all these messages, like, seems like a pro's pro.
Yeah.
But he hasn't been good.
Yeah.
So I'm struggling keeping him on too. So I'm in a really weird spot. I do think Miles Hinton's going to make the roster, the rookie tackle. I do. I'm keeping him there. I am down to Keegan and Kennard. And there's a little bit of me that wants to keep both. But I don't think I can. I'm going to go with Trevor Keegan. I don't know why. I really don't. I don't know why. I don't have a great reason. I think because I'm keeping Hinton, I don't feel like I need to keep Kennard. But I don't know why. Here's my issue with the line, Regz, and then I want your thoughts. I don't feel good about what happens if Mailata or Lane has to sit for a few games, which they typically do.
Right.
You know, they both miss time, and Fred Johnson was fantastic as a swing tackle. I don't see a good swing tackle here unless Miles Hinton takes huge steps forward. I think Pryor can play a little tackle, but I don't think he's going to be the guy.
Yeah.
So I am a little concerned as to, you know, who's going to be that swing guy, and maybe that's what forces them to keep Kennard at the end of the day.
I don't think they have a great option for swing tackle. And this is a team that usually kind of has that locked in most of the time. You know, they can go, again, you're not wanting it to happen, but if they have to go to a sixth guy, that sixth guy you usually feel pretty good about. I think this is one of the years where you don't feel good about whoever's coming in at that swing tackle position, because they just don't have anybody who's been as solid as Fred was. So again, a lot of people have been saying this is a very first world problem. Most teams are worried about their starters on the offensive line, not their swing tackle. So with that understanding, and with how this team usually operates, it's noteworthy because of that. It's noteworthy because of how this team usually is, how the Eagles are usually set up at this position. That's why it's noteworthy. Not because, you know, it's this huge problem, but it's big in the world of the Eagles, because this is usually something that we don't have to worry about. So I agree with you. It's not something that I feel good about. And maybe if knock on wood, if something happens that Lane or Jordan has to miss a game or two, like maybe Howie takes it a little farther. He uses some of those draft picks that are coming up, you know, to really solidify that position if it's really that bad, which it could be. Like these
Right.
preseason games have not been good for these guys. These guys that we're
No.
talking about.
Right. And we gotta watch one more tomorrow.
Yeah, it's been rough
Yeah.
for these
Hasn't been
guys.
good.
So
Hasn't been good.
a very solid 5. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if something happens, Jordan has to miss a game or two, and it's bad enough that Howie has to do something about it to really kind of, again, where that comes from, we have no idea.
Yeah,
Obviously,
that's the problem. Yeah.
We don't know what could happen. It could be week 3. It could be week 12. Like, we have no idea. So who knows, the circumstances at that point.
And the problem with that, Regs, is like there's no one's lining up to trade their tackles.
I'm sure you could give Jason Peters enough money.
Yeah,
He'd come back.
I mean, listen, what is he, 60 now?
Yeah, to be a swing tackle, he'd be fine.
Yeah. Oh, totally fine. Totally fine. All right, let's go to the defensive side of the ball. So defensive tackle was fun and interesting. 4 locks, and then playing with a 5th. Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Moro Jama, and Ty Robinson, the rookie. They felt like locks. And then it was like it was Gabe Hall or Jacob Sykes, and I think Sykes has had a really good summer, but Gabe Hall feels like he might be the next Moro Ojama. So I went with Hall there. I don't think there's much of an argument to be made about those 5. I think that's pretty much what it is. And, you're looking for those first 3 to take down big snaps. Ojama has answered the bell in every way.
Yeah,
this camp
looked really good.
And when you got guys like Lane Johnson saying what he's saying about him, that he's the real deal and how strong he is, and the guys who did live practice from Cleveland who were saying yeah, he's a monster. I think people are going to forget Milton Williams a lot more quickly than they wanted to believe to begin with. I really believe that. I think we're going to be forgetting Milton Williams more quickly than Josh Sweat.
Yeah,
which kind of leads me into the edge.
Yeah, I think Hall's been kind of the consensus that I've heard, and he's played well. So yeah.
And so is Robinson.
Yeah.
As far as being a rookie, I know that a couple of the offensive line were just saying that boy is country strong.
Yeah,
he is just country strong. From the edge perspective, Nolan Smith, Jalix Hunt, and then the 2 veterans. I think they've done enough to make the team. It looks like Uche might actually end up starting, quote unquote. He's, I think he'll probably be across from Smith. I don't think they're ready to give Hunt starter snaps yet, but Uche's done enough and Ojulari's done enough. I do think that we have to give a little bit of pause to getting overly anxious about lack of production in the preseason when the best player on the field in a lot of these games isn't on the field. We're not seeing any Jalen Carter. And when he's on the field, he's a matchup nightmare, which creates more one-on-ones for guys like Uche and guys like Ojulari. So I think the real tale of the tape comes when they're on the field with with Jalen Carter and with Jordan Davis and you know what I mean? And more Ojama, where and they're actually running and game planning with Vic's defense and not just running vanilla defense to be on the field and get reps, because they're also going to be in situations where defenses are confused because they're sending 4, but those 4, one of those 4 is Campbell or one of those 4 is Bond.
Yeah.
So I think we need to just wait and see, because the edge rushing position was a concern for us going into the postseason last year and ended up being a big reason why they won the Super Bowl. So these 4 guys could get it done. I also put Patrick Johnson there. He's a special team ace. They brought him back for that reason. He's probably not going to get pass rush snaps, but he's going to be on the roster. But I like the 4. I'm not in love with the 4, but I think the production of the 4 is pending having certain dudes on the field.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I think both things can be true. I think it's a fair point that you want to see these guys when, like you said, Jalen Carter is out there and eating two people and, you know, all those things. I think we can also be concerned that there is a lack of depth, proven depth at this position. I think both things can be true. I don't think we're not saying that these guys are like useless or that they're going to be complete duds. It's like you said, we don't really know yet in the true scheme of things how good they can be in this system. We're going to have to wait and see that. But it's very much like the swing tackle. There's no sure thing after those first two guys, which can be a concern. Or it could not be, depending on what happens.
Yeah, I think it's just a wait and see situation.
Yep.
You know, if you get 10 sacks from Nolan Smith and 8 to 10 from Hunt, you get 5 and 5 from the other two, you're probably feeling okay about that.
Yeah, I would agree.
You're probably feeling okay about that. That's 30 sacks from your edges, and you're going to get them from your interior guys. You're going to get them from Campbell. You're going to get them from Bond too.
Yeah.
Which then leads to the linebacker position. I don't think there's any surprises here. Dean will go on the pup list, and then it'll be Bond, Campbell, Trotter, and Mondon.
Yeah.
I think Dallas Gant's done a lot. I think people have he's opened a lot of eyes, but not enough to maybe a special team spot if they decide that they want to use a fifth linebacker and maybe eliminate Van Sumeren. I could see it. But Smile Mondon has really been good to the point where people are like, he could start. He could be a starter on a lot of teams. He's really opened eyes at camp.
Yeah.
And look, it's another Georgia pick, and it'll be interesting to see what happens when Dean is back and what they do with him and how they use him, because it doesn't sound like Jahad Campbell outright won this position from the jump. Trotter Jr. really put together a good summer, challenged him every step of the way. Smile Mondon has been really good. So it'll be interesting to see how Dean gets sort of inserted into this defense when the time comes, because we already know that Bond and Campbell are on the field together right now. And they have a very scary skill set together. They cover a lot of ground with their speed. They can both blitz. They're going to be a freaking nightmare for offenses and for quarterbacks to figure out where they're going to be on a given play. It was a little easier last year, especially when Dean went down, for quarterbacks to figure out, all right, well, Oren Burks can't come for me. I just got to figure out where 5'3" is.
Yeah.
Well, now you got to worry. You got to worry about the other freak athlete who's got length and speed running around out there and where he's going to be. I'm really excited. It has been a long time since I've been this excited about the linebacker position for the Eagles. Before I turn to you for this, though, I want to be very clear. Guys like Zach Bond and Saquon Barkley cannot go up from last year. Yeah. We need to take a breath and understand that it's pretty likely both guys are going to have a slight to moderate decline this year, and that's still going to be a really good season. But we cannot expect them to have all world seasons in back-to-back. They were all world. They weren't just all pro. They weren't just all league, all conference. They were all world. Two of the greatest individual seasons I've seen at both positions in my lifetime. So just want to say that. Your thoughts on linebacker?
I mean, I think everyone is very excited for the combination of Bond and Campbell. And I truly think, from what I've heard, read, listened to, Trotter is really processing well and is always in the right spot. It's just the sheer athleticism that Campbell brings and his ability to just be everywhere. And that kind of disruptor is just, there's nothing you can do about it if you're Trotter. The dude is just a freak. And it's a shame, right? If Trotter was 4 inches taller and, a little bit faster, he'd probably be the starting linebacker. But he's not. So you get a very capable backup who will come in and be in the right places. He's not going to be able to make all the plays that a guy like Vaughn or a guy like Campbell will be able to with their sheer just ability to cover sideline to sideline. But I think he's perfectly in his role. Like, for what Trotter is, he should be a very capable backup linebacker. We're not talking about a first or second round pick here. What was he, a 5th round pick? Maybe farther? 5th? Like, that's a perfectly reasonable expectation for a guy like that. It might even be over expectations.
Right.
To have a very capable backup as your 5th round pick. There's nothing wrong with that.
And a dude who can play special teams at a high level.
Exactly. So I just think Fangio is foaming at the mouth to get those two guys on the field together.
Gonna be a lot of fun.
And unfortunately for Nakobe, who played unbelievable last season. Like, it was a true tragedy of the season that guy didn't get the chance to play in the Super Bowl. And, do what he had been doing all season for this team, which was playing phenomenally. Yeah. It's just, it'll be very interesting to see what happens if he is able to come back and at what point and what he looks like. And at that, it might just be at that point, Campbell has the job and it's his, and Nakobe is just a very overly qualified backup, which probably means he's not on the team anymore, which is unfortunate because of how good
they'll find a spot, and they'll, there's always going to be injury stuff and things like that they're going to have to navigate, and he'll at least have a special teams role. He's way too good and talented of a player.
I didn't mean like they're cutting him. I just meant after this season, there's a good chance he's not. Like, if Campbell plays that well, or is that develops enough, it's just a tough spot for Nakobe.
For sure. Okay, we got the secondary left, and then we will be wrapping this conversation. I'm going to go safety first, sort of like I did with tight end before wide receiver, because the bigger conversation's at corner. Safety, it feels pretty straightforward. Blankenship, Makuba, Brown, and McCollum, I think, is where they're at. They seem to really like McCollum. I don't know why. But again, it's sort of first world problems, right? When you think about the roster, he's probably like in the 40s in terms of where he sits. I'm not quite sure. I know that Coop is going to play safety and base, but they're never in base, so it doesn't freaking matter.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see how they handle the Makuba Brown thing. I do think Brown's going to be more of a chess piece this year than anything. Like, when they're in dime, he's just going to be running around like a psycho.
Yeah.
But Makuba does the same thing. So I don't know what this secondary is going to look like at the very backside. It'll be interesting because everything seems mixed with Makuba, and I think that's fair as a rookie. Brown has not taken the job by the horns, so we'll see what happens. From a corner perspective, we know Q, we know Coop, but the cornerback 2 thing seems to be up in the air. I think we can safely say it's not going to be Mac McWilliams. He's going to be the backup nickel, maybe dime corner. So he'll end up being like the 4th. He's on the team. I know he's on the team. So Q, Coop, Mac, that's 3. You just traded for Jacorian Bennett, so he's going to be on the team. I don't know that he's going to win the cornerback 2 job, so that's 4. I think they're keeping 6. Keely's going to be on the team. Yes. Again, he's going to be on the team, I think, although he hasn't practiced in 2 days. So I don't know if that's an injury thing or
I would be shocked if he's not on the team.
I can't imagine a 4th round pick, from 3 years ago. So I'm putting him on the team. That's 5. And here's the funny thing, because on my cut line, I have Adoree Jackson, I have Perry Nickerson, and I have Brandon Johnson. Brandon Johnson is a slot corner. I don't see them keeping a 3rd. I think he's going to the practice squad. Nickerson has had a fine camp, but Adoree Jackson feels like the guy, even though he's on my cut line, that's going to win the job because no one has won the freaking job.
Yeah.
Here's my other issue. There's no growth area for him. He can't grow anymore. He's like, this is who he is.
Right.
Whereas like Keeley can grow, Bennett can grow. I'm worried about cornerback too. We were very spoiled last year.
Yes.
We were very spoiled last year. And I understand why Darius is not back. But man, would it just have killed us to keep the other guy around?
I even think the Rodgers thing is more.
That's
shocking.
what I couldn't think of his name. That's what I meant.
I think
Thank
that at this point, I think they're regretting not signing Isaiah Rodgers more than Darius Slay.
That's who I meant. I just couldn't think of his name. Yeah,
but you're right. But the thing is, the reason that we could be not as concerned about the pass rush last year, even though it wasn't up to like expectations of how we expect Eagles pass rushes to be, it was because the secondary was so good that they could leave those two guys on an island, and it allowed Blankenship to do what he needed to do. It allowed CJ to do different things. If you always have to play a safety over the top of somebody, it changes your ability to be versatile, and probably changes how Vic truly wants to run this defense. Like last year was the ideal. Listen, we understand it's not going to be that perfect all the time.
Right.
But what did Isaiah Rodgers get? Like $7 million? It wasn't that much, was it?
Wasn't that? I think it was a little higher than that, but I get your
maybe?
point. Yeah, I get your point.
I think they regret doing that more than Slay.
Right.
Because Rodgers proved himself to be again, not perfect, but a truly capable backup. And you would take him right now over any of these guys who are shooting for CB2. So, it is what it is. Somebody's going to have to step up, because in the ideal word of Vic Fangio's offense, he needs to be able to leave those guys on an island.
2 years, $11 million.
Okay, so
$8 million guaranteed.
Okay, so $4 million guaranteed a year. Like that's not a lot of money for what they kind of needed.
I do believe, Regz, with 14 draft picks, that they might still this might be the place they make the move.
Yes, this is a place that's going to be very obvious very quickly.
Yeah,
if they need to do something about it, this could be. I
don't even know if
right. You're absolutely.
I don't know if they're gonna wait.
Like they might not. You're right.
This might be a move they make in the next week and a half.
Yeah,
because they're just it's just not. I can't imagine they're feeling. I believe that, like, again, we're very spoiled.
Yes.
Right. And I do think there's a world where we have to see what it looks like, where these guys are covering not Devontae Smith and AJ Brown. Right? Like for the first part of camp, that's who they were dealing with every day. And not every team has Devontae Smith, AJ Brown. I'd even argue that not, when you move Jahan Dotson outside, a third wide receiver on most teams is not Jahan Dotson. A second wide receiver on most teams is not Jahan Dotson. Your first week, you're going to see George Pickens. We know that. That's wide receiver 2. Week 2, you're seeing the Chiefs. So, you got to deal, like, Mahomes is going to target that guy.
Yeah.
No one's going to throw at Q. It's just, one of these things that we're going to have to watch and deal with and hope it doesn't kill them, and that they're able to still win football games for the first part of the season until everything settles in.
Yeah.
But it is a concern. So,
yeah.
All right. That's my 53. We'll know on, I believe I looked it up and now I forget, but it's before we record on Thursday. I think it's Tuesday. They have to cut him down by. So, we'll have a close eye on the roster cut downs, buddy. Well,
I think you're only like 1 or 2 off last year.
Last year I had 3 wrong.
Okay.
The year before I had like one, and I've always been close. I mean, again, what are we looking at here? There are not many
That's
non-locks, right? Like I think there's probably 6 roster spots that you can play with, and most teams are probably looking at a lot more.
Yeah.
But the Eagles are just, we're very fortunate,
Yeah.
very very fortunate. Also very fortunate to be 7 games up, buddy.
Yeah. God bless those Mets.
Well, look, it is not often on this show that I take a moment to pat myself on the back.
You should do
But
it. You should do it more often. But
was there anybody else as locked into the idea that the Mets were freaking frauds last year as I was?
no, there was not.
I swore by this all off season. I swore by it at the start of this season, and I swore by it throughout this season that they are complete freaking frauds.
Yeah.
Like who was the guy who said that freaking Vientos wasn't good?
Yeah.
He has been terrible this year.
Yep.
He has been terrible this year. Who is the guy that continued to say they don't have any pitching? It was a roster who was at like as scorching hot as a team could possibly be and had all of the vibes that a team could possibly have. Nick Castellanos said in the offseason that the real MVP is off the team. And look at what's going on. Now, look, here's the thing. I'm not sitting here saying they're not making the playoffs.
No, yeah, sure.
That's not what I'm saying. They could still very well get in, although they are really fallen. Like they look bad. And they're about to play the Braves, who have been, I think the Braves are like 12-2 in their last 14 games. Like they're playing good ball right now.
I think Austin Riley just is out though for the season.
He's done for the year. He's done for the year. But even so, they handled the Mets a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And the Phillies hold 7 right now. And they have the Mets after the weekend. They go to New York for 3. With the Phillies playing the way they did this week, and the Mets playing the way they did this week, or that they have for the last couple of weeks, and playing the Braves, my hope, Regz, is that the Phillies can go into New York 8-9 games up.
Yeah.
And then I don't care if they lose the series. They can lose 2 or 3 and still leave their 7-8 games up, and we're all feeling good.
Yeah.
We're all feeling good. But look, there's bigger things to talk about than baseball, at least at the forefront. This conversation will lead us into a little bit more baseball. But the Zach Wheeler news is just, it's stunning, it's heartbreaking, it's terrifying, and it is eye-opening all at once.
With some slightly better news in the past few days, luckily.
There has.
The initial news was all those things.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine being in that clubhouse and dealing with that sort of news. Credit the roster and the guys in that clubhouse for responding the way that they did. But here on this show, we have a nice solid group of people that listen to us, and I know that you and I speak on behalf of all of them when we say, Zach, we love you. We're praying for you and your family, and you do what you got to do to get better. Baseball aside, obviously, we would love to have him out there, but we also want him alive more than anything.
Well, yeah.
So,
I mean, the text thread, you and I had going back and forth was, I mean, it got to the point where we said, depending on what the cause of this was, he could just hang it up forever. Which, again, is completely reasonable, because why take the risk when you're at the age he's at with the family he has? Why, no one would begrudge him. We would all be upset, of course, because of who Zach Wheeler is as a baseball player. But I don't think anybody could begrudge him for making a decision like that. Again, that's pending what the cause of this is and many things that we have no idea what they will be. I think, luckily, they announced he had the successful surgery to break up that particular clot that they found, which was great news. So hopefully, this was a one-off kind of thing and isn't a chronic thing that he'll have to deal with. There have been cases of this for pitchers, in the majors, not all the time, but there have been some cases that people have been referencing as to why this might happen to somebody who's presumably healthy and doesn't, as we know of right now, have any sort of genetic disposition to blood clots. But it's a huge bummer from a baseball standpoint with how well he was pitching. You obviously feel for the man and the dad and the husband and all those things. And we were very happy to hear that the surgery was successful and the immediate danger seems to be gone, which is fantastic and great to hear. We, like you said, we just want him to get better and be, able to live his life without this, the fear of anything. And as we learn more, we'll see what that means to his baseball career. But luckily, some good news to sort of bring everyone back a little bit and feel just good for the person and just feel good for the guy who's brought us so much joy and, so many great moments as a baseball player.
Yeah. And we'll continue to keep an eye on things and certainly, as we know, you'll know. But I want to transition a little bit to the team here and just the impact that it had on them. Because clearly, we heard a lot of what they said in the media and just how, how much they care about Zach and all of that stuff. And that was never in question, right? Like that was never in question. But we've seen a team almost a very different version of this team since Saturday when the news came out. Sunday they scored 11 runs, and then the series against the Mariners, which I'll be honest with you, I was a little concerned about going into. It's a good Mariners team, one of the best pitching staffs in baseball, a very good offense, and the Phillies 3 lefties just destroyed them.
Yeah.
And the offense just did whatever they felt like doing. The only blip on the radar the entire week was Orion Kerkering. And that felt very odd. Kerkering hadn't walked anybody since like
the All-Star break, yeah.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, like he, walks a few guys and it just something felt a little off, and some of it was the umpire, like all that stuff matters. But their response to everything was very, very, very comforting from a fan perspective, because I honestly, man, like there was a piece of me that was like, this is it.
Yeah.
Like, this is it. And I wouldn't have blamed them either. Like if you lose that guy, you lose your friend, and baseball just doesn't seem to matter.
Mm-hmm.
I totally understand that mindset, and I was ready for it. Like I was totally preparing for them to get swept.
Yep.
And for the lead to go away and for them to fade out into the darkness, but they were resilient and totally flipped the script. To the point where now I almost feel more confident in them than I have at any point during this run that they've had. And here's why, Regz, and let me talk through this for a moment, and then I want your thoughts on this. There's a piece of me, and I lean into the Jack Fritz
burn the boats, baby.
On burn the boats here. But I'm going to take it a step further. I think it's almost like a wake-up call for this group, and not from like the sense of, oh man, life is fleeting, and not that kind of wake-up call. But I think of the wake-up call more so that we can't sleepwalk through 4 games in a week and just say, nah, it's fine. We'll win 2, we'll lose 2, and then we'll win the 5th because Zach's pitching. I think what this has done for this roster is it's been like, we got to show up every night, no matter who we are, no matter what we do. the 9 of us, 10 of us that play on a given night have to show up and show out if we're going to win and actually win this thing for Zach.
Right.
Because that's what I've seen. Like I've for the first time, and I can't tell you how long, I've seen 1 through 9 show up in 4 straight games. I've seen the starter show up in 4. Well, Aaron did not show up on Sunday, but in 3 of the 4 games. The bullpen has been fantastic outside of that one Orion blip. But I'm seeing a team that's starting to come around at the right time. We're almost at the end of August. And, basically you have to play well for 2 months. If they play like this for 2 months, Regz, I'm telling you right now, there's not a team on the planet that beats this team who just played the Mariners. Not a single team on the planet.
Yeah.
Not the Brewers, who have decidedly not lost a game in 2 years. Not the Dodgers, who actually have one of the worst records in baseball since the All-Star break. No one in the American League is beating them. No one. If this is the team who shows up for a series in October, they're not losing.
Yeah.
And I just want them to feel it. I want them to see what it's like. What is the difference? For me right now, it's they're all doing their job. They're passing the baton.
Yep.
And if they can just continue that, and I don't know if this Zach thing has anything to do with it, but it feels like it does.
Yeah. I mean, we obviously never wanted this to happen to him, but you would hope this is what something like this does to this group of guys who keep talking about their only goal is to win a World Series. Well, guys, you had to play better to show that it was possible. And now even more so with your ace and bona fide playoff stud, Zach Wheeler, probably not pitching the rest of the season. Guys have to step up. And specifically on offense, this offense, we've always known they have this ability to carry this team. And it's almost what we've wanted them to be for the past several years. And they obviously have shown the bad side of it in the past couple of years. But we always knew this is what they're capable of. It's the consistency part that you talked about. That, guys, we have to show up every single day. We have to. We don't have a safety blanket anymore. The blanket's gone. And his name was Zach Wheeler. You don't have it anymore. You don't have it anymore. You have to show up every day ready to play like this. And again, it's baseball. Some days it's just not going to happen. But you have to show up with the mindset of what they've been showing in these last 4 games from an offense.
Yeah, I think the other thing that has turned up their ability, willingness, drive at this part of the season is Joan Duran.
Yes.
They know that if they get to the 9th inning with a lead, it's over. Regz, I know I'm gonna kick myself for saying this at some point. But how does anybody score a run off of this guy?
I mean, we've seen it. It's happened this season, so I'll knock on wood for us. I know you know this, but it's also when you watch him actually pitch. And I think Angela asked me something the other day. She was like, "Why have I never heard of this guy? If he's this good," she's like, she's like, "How long has he been good?" I'm like, 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "Really? Then why have I?" She's like, "Did you know who he is?" I'm like, "Yes, but I'm a psychopath who knows these things." But she's like, "Why have I never heard of him?" I was like, "Well, he played in Minnesota, first of all." And she's like, "He had the intro and everything. Why weren't people putting it all over the place?" I said, "Well, he played in Minnesota." And she was shocked that she'd never heard of this guy who throws 102 and is spinning 90, 100-mile-an-hour splitters up there.
Blinkers.
Yeah. It was just a very funny conversation of, this guy's been really good for a while now. And he's now on this stage and he seems fazed by it this much. He is so ready for this.
I actually think it's phased him into a higher
Yes,
version of
that's what I
himself.
mean. I think that he's been like, he's turning into a somehow higher, like you said, higher version of himself.
Yeah, and that to me is more so where I'm coming from with how's anybody score a run on him. I think there was a Minnesota version of him that was like, okay, right? Like I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna pitch, but and now it's like I'm gonna come out and no one's gonna touch me. Regs, the first of all, the Phillies pitching staff against Big Dumper was unbelievably lights out. Like they were just like, we're gonna mix everything up, we're gonna confuse him, we're gonna go soft when he thinks we're going hard, we're gonna go hard when he thinks we're going soft, and then the next time when he thinks we're going soft, we're gonna go soft. And he's gonna be second guessing himself. So it was all week with him. Like I think he had one hit. But the at bat in the 9th on Tuesday was the at bat where it was like, okay, this guy he's a dude, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's the second best hitter in the American League outside of Aaron Judge.
He's the AL home run leader,
RBI leader.
He was coming off of one of the best series of his season against the Mets. And Duran just goes, here's 103. Hit it. And Regz, this is not like it's not straight.
No,
he's throwing
it's not.
He's throwing 103 that's tailing away from a lefty.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. I've never seen anything like this. He is the best reliever that this team has had in my lifetime. And I do believe that there's a little bit of a jolt to this group that Dave went and added this guy. Yeah. Because Regz, I stand by this. I said it last episode. If they had Joan Duran in 22 or 23, they win the World Series.
Yeah.
And they probably win the Mets series last year if they have Joan Duran. Now, here's something that I do want to say because I think this is very important. This is crucial to people's understanding about Joan Duran moving forward. He is the closer.
Yes.
That is his title. We need to stop throwing fits and acting like morons if he comes in a non-save situation.
Oh yeah, this is so stupid.
Well, and I'm going to talk about it from two lenses. The first being what happened on Friday night when he got hit in the leg. 4-run game, hasn't pitched in 5 days. That is the baseline of understanding baseball.
Yeah.
The fact that there were people out there angry that he was in that game.
Yeah.
Shows me the amount of baseball that group of people has watched.
Yeah. To quote Ruben Amaro, if you're angry about that, you don't know shit.
You don't know shit. and Scott Fransky said that they needed to have their baseball fandom revoked.
I love it. I love Scott. I love when Scott gets mad about things. It's the best.
I love when our broadcast team makes fun of fans.
Yeah.
Because they know which fans know what they're talking about, which fans don't know what they're talking about. And it was so evident Friday night, Saturday that people didn't know. And then on Sunday, when everything went haywire, they were able to, people are able to say, this is why he came in the game on Friday.
Yep.
For this exact reason. This is the exact reason he came in the game on Friday. So there's that perspective.
Yeah.
But there will be a game in October where he's going to come in the 8th.
Yes, absolutely.
Because they're facing Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman.
Yep.
And I'm not waiting to use Joan Duran in the 9th inning of a one-run
against
game.
Tommy Edman and Pagan and or Pajes and whoever the hell else.
Now, if I have Alvarado, you could talk me into, there's a world where you could talk me into, all right, well, if I'm facing Freeman and Ohtani, I'll use Alvarado.
Yes.
You could absolutely talk me into that, but we don't have him. No. And I'm not using Matt Strom.
And I'm not using Tanner Banks.
As good as he's been.
Yes.
I'm not using Tanner Banks.
Nope.
I will say this, and hear me out. If by some miracle Zach Wheeler can pitch and they move Jesus Luzardo to the bullpen, you could probably have that conversation with me.
Yes, you could.
You could probably have that conversation with me.
Yeah.
But in this moment in time, if that's who I'm playing, and it's the 8th inning
And
of a
you're up
2-run
1.
baseball
Yep.
game,
Or 2. Yep.
one or two run, even 3, Regs,
Yeah.
even 3.
Yeah.
I'm using Joan Duran
Yep.
in that game, and it's because I don't care about the fucking save stat.
No, makes no
I
difference.
want my best guy
Yes.
getting out their best guys.
Yep.
Because here's the thing: if Orion Kerkering comes in the next inning and can't get out Tommy Edman and Max Muncy
Yeah.
and whoever else, then he probably wasn't getting out Shohei Ohtani,
Yeah.
Mookie Betts, and Freddie Freeman.
Yeah.
Like, let's call a spade here,
Yep.
guys. So just be ready for that, and don't be angry when Rob manages the game that way, because I understand everybody wants the save. I get it, but I want to win baseball games.
That's right.
And in October, you're going to deploy that guy against their best, because
Yeah.
he's our best.
Yeah.
And you
absolutely.
got to get to the 9th with a lead
Yes.
for it
Yes.
to matter.
Yes.
And I think just like one or two more things here that I want to touch on. The first being Bryson Stott and just what he's done since the All-Star break. I think we're seeing a different Bryson Stott. He's a little bit more aggressive in the zone than he has been. And if we're getting Bryson Stott, the guy who is going to work counts, find ways to annoy pitchers in the 9-hole, but still going to be able to hit like 270, 280 the rest of the way,
Yeah.
then look out, baseball, because this group is terrifying. If Bryson Stott's hitting 9th and hitting 280 in the 9-hole, that's terrifying. So I wanted to tip my cap to him. And Rob, please God, please God, just I know he hasn't really hit yet, but I really, really need Harrison Bader playing center field every day.
Yeah.
Just his ability to go get the baseball in the outfield is so different, and trust me, he's going to hit. He just needs to play. He just needs to be out there on a day in, day out basis, because if he can hit 250, 260 and play that level of defense, like, they're in such a good place, because Bryson Stott and Trey Turner and JT Realmuto are all playing like high level defense. Regs, Trey Turner's 14 outs above average right now.
That.
He's like 4th in baseball
among
shortstops because of how good his defense has been. I just need Bader out there every single day, because he just goes and gets it.
Yeah.
Everything looks so easy for him.
It does. It does, and it makes a huge difference when you have Turner and Stott playing the defense they have. To have another guy like that up the middle, like, is enormous and so valuable.
Yeah, I do like the way he's kind of managing the outfield right now.
Yeah.
And just kind of intermixing guys and letting everybody kind of find their way, and eventually he'll land on something. And I do think that something should be Marsh, Bader, and then some sort of platoon with Kepler and
I agree.
And Castellanos, and their best defensive outfield is absolutely Marsh, Bader, and Kepler.
Yes.
And the way Kepler's hitting right now, he's another guy that we might have to. Sorry about the way we treated you, Max.
Well,
type
we'll
of thing.
see. Yeah,
I'm going to give it more time. I'm not at the Stott. I'm not at the Stott level yet. Like I just said about Stott, but he is swinging a better bat. He really is. He's hitting the ball a lot harder than he was. Anything else that you want to add?
Just a shout out to Trey Turner, who's hitting like 600 in his last 8 games, 9 games.
God, dude.
5 for 6 the other day.
He's under. And also, shout out to JT Realmuto.
Yes.
Who is not just like the best hitting catcher in the National League over the course of like the last 3 months, but has been like a top 5 hitter in the league.
Yeah.
Like, just general, like, he's been that good, and no one seems to appreciate it.
Yeah.
The lineup has gotten so much deeper just with the return of Alec Bohm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, to be able to have Nick Castellanos hitting 7th is just.
And you just need need Bohm's ability to put the ball in play. And I think somebody said, I think it was Ruben again on their last Philly show. He's like, no one's been better at getting those RBIs in the past few years than Alec Boehm has on this team.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so just having a guy like that you've seen the difference. You've seen it.
But it's nice. It's nice that he's not hitting right behind Bryce right now because of how good JT has been. Because teams are not as willing to pitch around Bryce because JT's killing them.
Yeah.
He's getting the big hits. So teams are like, oh, we got to pitch to Bryce, which means, oh, we got to pitch to Kyle.
Yeah.
And which leads to, oh, we got to pitch to Trey. And that's what we've dreamed of. And now that you have Alec hitting fifth, who's going to put the ball in play, is not going to strike out. 1 through 5, you've got 5 guys who are likely to put the ball in play.
Yeah.
Out of those 5, who's the most likely to strike out? It's probably Kyle.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as likely as he is to strike out, he's just as likely to hit a ball 460 feet. So, it's not until you get to Marsh where he's not even as likely to strike out as he has been in the past. So they're really the lineup depth and you add Bader into that now too. Like there's just a lot of depth there, and I hope that they can continue what they started against Seattle and do it to the Nationals this weekend.
Yep.
I would really love to see them beat up on the Nationals the same way they beat up on Seattle.
Yeah.
And head to New York on a 7-game run streak.
Just on a tear. Yep.
Yeah, just really be able to go into New York with New York doubting themselves and hand it to them.
Yep.
I think that it could go a long way for this team to get over that mental hurdle.
Absolutely.
With the Mets. So, all right, man. Well, hey, it's been fun.
Always.
Anything else for the good of the people?
No, that was great.
All right. Well, we will be back on Thursday. I am home for 3 weeks.
There you go.
Look at us. Look at us. So we will be back on Thursday. And then the following Thursday is the Eagles kickoff. So we'll try and record before that because, we got to do our preview. Next Thursday, you will get a wrap up of what's been going on with the Phillies. You will also get a check on my 53-man and all of my bold predictions for the Eagles. We'll have to check on my Phillies bold predictions. We haven't done that. So it's probably a good time. It's probably a good time to check in on this. But we will be back on Thursday for our next episode. Until then, make sure that you go to YouTube. If you're watching us there right now, click subscribe. And if you're not, go there and click subscribe. Then head on over to all your social media at the Mic Drop 5, at Big Regz with a Z. Head on over to Instagram at Phixated Pod. And on TikTok, it's at the Phixated Pod. And on Facebook, the Phixated fan page. Merchandise link in the show description. We will see you on Thursday. But until then, be kind to yourself, be kind to one another. Tell someone that you love them. And Phils, keep it rolling.
Kill the Nationals, please.
Oh my God! Deep to right field, way up there and way out of here.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.